Hello, hello. I'm exhausted. I'm feeling absolutely exhausted. Sleep has been very hard to come by, even when I lay down to take a nap. And when I do fall asleep, it's for sometimes not even 2 hours, and then I'm back wide awake again. And that's been going on for a while. And it seems to be catching up with me a little bit. The video that I'm doing today, the title is Two Favorites, Max Igan and Bill Donohue. Two YouTubes came to my inbox this morning that especially caught my attention. The first was by Max Igan, Slipping into Fiction. The second was by Bill Donohue, Coiled Serpent. I listened to both. I've listened to a lot from each one before, and I have great respect for both. I like people that challenge me to think when they are not trying to sell me on how right they are. I hope I am like that myself, though I am sure some who listen might see it otherwise. Anyway, I felt a common thread in both messages. We are involved in a process of change that is natural and unstoppable. Sometimes that doesn't seem to be true either. As fast as it's moving, I get impatient that it's not finished yet. There's still far too much uncertainty in the unfolding of the process to allow a feeling of safety in a world of insanity. Yet I do feel things going on within me that defy explanation. Something is happening. I invite you, if you have time, to listen to these videos and see what strikes a chord in you. Sometimes it's good for me to hear what other people are saying. Well, it's always good for me to hear what other people are saying. Again, when they're not trying to sell me a religion or a political ideology, or they're not trying to sell me something. When they're only trying to get me to look at things and to go within and see how it fits with me, and see what resonates with me, see what doesn't resonate with me. That's a process and something that I find invaluable in my own growth, my own evolution. To be willing to stretch beyond my parameters and to hear other viewpoints that might not be the same as mine. I think that's something that I would encourage everyone to be willing to do that from time to time. It's not about only getting people to agree with us. If that's where you are, you're stuck. And I'm going to say it emphatically. You're not going to grow if all you do is keep rehashing the same things you already believe and trying to validate your belief system. That's what fundamentalists do of every persuasion, whether it's a scientific or a religious persuasion, even if it's a political persuasion. If all you do is try to prove yourself right, you're stuck in your own ego and you're not going to go anywhere. But humanity is going somewhere. Now, it's interesting that I did fall asleep a little bit ago, earlier this morning, actually between 5 and 7 a.m. I laid down for a couple of hours and was able to sleep a little bit during that time. And when I woke up sometime before 7 o'clock, I had had a dream. And in the dream, this is weird, left wrist. In the dream, there was a plant growing out of my left wrist. It's interesting that the left side is the feminine side. It's the one that's connected to the right mind, which Bill Donohue talked about, the right side, the door on the right side, the door to our intuition, the door to our spirit, if you will. But anyway, let's go back to Max Igan's video and some of the things that caught my mind there, caught my attention. One of the things he said early on in the video was the people's, including everyday people on the street, are thought about police has totally undergone a transformation. When I was a boy, police were my friend. I mean, I did not see police as the enemy. I did not see them as anything other than public servants and nice guys. And I didn't know any female uh, policemen at that time. I didn't ever meet a female policeman, I don't think, until I came to Florida. I could be wrong there, but I don't remember ever meeting any when I lived up north. But be that as it may, the attitude of the public toward police has totally changed. Police are now seen as an enemy. They're seen as thugs and violent people, not serving the interests of the people. And that's one of the things that Max pointed out. The courts don't serve justice. The police don't serve peace. And the whole system is a system of fiction. It's a fiction, a fictional matrix. We have become people of the lie, but we're waking up from that lie. And I mean, my attitude, especially since that sheriff deputy came a couple of years ago and assaulted me in my own home unlawfully, and I will never see it any other than unlawfully. He did not follow procedures that he's required by law to follow, but most of them don't nowadays. But I absolutely do not like police at all at this point in time. I don't trust them. I would rather not have to ever interact with them ever again for the rest of my life, and that would be wonderful. That's my attitude. But he also talked about something very important that I have seen and talked about myself again and again, and that is the need for community. It has bothered me to no end that even people in my own spiritual community, though many do seem to be waking up to a large degree, there's not a whole lot of support in the local community for people that are outspoken and people that are out on the front lines. And Max said that we need to start supporting those people like me, like him, and many others that are on the front line, that are actually drawing attention to the problems and having to interact with the system by dealing with courts and dealing with police and dealing with politicians and dealing with government agencies. And we could win if we had greater support in the public, but most people are too afraid. And he's saying, well, it's understandable because people have been brainwashed, but that's a problem. He said if we could all get on the same page, we could change the world in a day. Well, getting on the same page is a lot easier said than done. I'd like to believe that we can do it. And unless there's going to be some event that some talk about that changes our consciousness in the twinkling of an eye, I don't see how we can get on the same page. If something like that could trigger it, where there could literally be a cosmic download that would make people open their eyes and open their minds and open their hearts all at once in a snap, thing like Saul of Tarsus on the road to Damascus, where the blinding light shone down out of heaven and said, "I am Jesus whom you persecuted," and it changed him from Saul of Tarsus into the Apostle Paul, or Saint Paul. But humanity needs that. Humanity needs it. And he said that change, again, we're still talking about Max Igan, where change is in the ethers. It's got to change. Again, it's got to be a cosmic thing, the ethers. It's got to be something that we swim in, that we live and move and have our being in, the ethers, that connects everything. And something has to happen. The change has to happen there for it to happen in our manifest world. And I totally agree with that. And that is an internal change that manifests externally, because change that's only internal isn't change. It isn't change. It might affect the individual, but change is something that affects the culture, because there isn't just one individual here or many individuals. There are many individuals as one, as a collective. Change has to affect the collective, not merely individuals. Although, of course, It begins with individuals. I'm not saying that it doesn't. But let's move on to Bill Donohue. He talked about something that I liked a lot, and that was the Ouroboros, or the coiled serpent. And I'm not talking about the serpent, the caduceus, coiled around the pole that Moses lifted up in the wilderness as a type of Christ. I'm talking about the Ouroboros, the snake that's eating its own tail. And he said that the demon or the dark forces or whatever are like the Ouroboros. They're actually consuming themselves. It is consuming itself in the collective, and it's working out individually in our lives as the dark energies, the negative energies are when we enter into the quiet place, when we go into the holy of holies within ourselves. The good or the feminine aspect consumes the out of balance masculine aspect in the respect that it restores harmony to the whole. But the negative stuff is self-consuming, and that was an interesting thing that he brought forth. And he said that we cannot force the Kundalini to rise. That feminine serpent that's coiled in the sacral area of our life, the sacred area, the sexual area of our life, the area that connects us to the physicality, to the earth. That cannot be forced to rise. He said a lot of New Age people try to force it, but it's about discovering that the Christ within us, and this is another beautiful thing. He said the message of Jesus, the message of the Buddha, the message of the masters has always been, what I am, you are. What I can do, you can do. I am the Christ, you are the Christ. I am the Buddha, you are the Buddha. We are one. We are all the same. Get it? Don't put us on a pedestal. That perverts the message. That waters down the message so that you don't get the thing that's the most important to see. That is that you are what I am because we are one. And somebody wrote the other day and says, I don't like it when people say we are one or talk about the one people because that's part of the brainwashing. That's part of the liberation when we recognize the interconnectedness of all life and stop the divisive mindset of I am not you, you are not me, we are not one. That is simply what has created that illusion of separation is what has created the matrix that we live in. But he said the Kundalini must rise naturally. We can't force it up. When we go into that inner place, it will automatically rise. And the Ouroboros, the dark energies, will automatically self-consume, or put another way, transform. And the whole thing is about transformation. We are undergoing a process of transformation. And it cannot be forced, though it is accelerated. And that's what I sense going on within me. That's why I can't seem to sleep, because I feel there's things that I must do, and letting go once I've done them is not easy because I'm anticipating the outcome that I desire, and I can't force the outcome. And that's I think part of the message. But then let's get back to where I said about this plant growing out of my wrist, out of the feminine side of me. There's life sprouting out of the feminine. New life that's coming forth that is unlike anything that has ever happened before. I mean, we don't have trees or plants growing out of our bodies. I mean, that's the image that was implanted in me in my subconscious that stayed with me, that most of the time when I wake up, I instantly forget wherever I was. I know that I've been somewhere. I know that I've been traveling. I know that I've been experiencing something in the superconscious or unconscious realm, but my conscious mind drops it as soon as I wake up. But this image stayed with me, and I got to ponder it for, I guess I was pondering it for at least 10 or 15 minutes, although I wasn't timing it. But wow, my first thought was, something's wrong with me. Why is vegetation growing out of my body? But then as I thought on it more, I thought, that's good. That means new life is sprouting from within my physical being. And it's a transformative effect. And I from becoming upset with it initially, I then became more at peace with it and saw it not as something bad, but as something good, as something positive. And anyway, I encourage you, if you have time, to listen to these two men. And whenever you get a chance, they have some really outstanding videos out there. If you really want to learn and if you really want to challenge your belief system, I encourage you to listen to people that take you outside of your comfort zone and encourage you to think outside the box, and mostly encourage you to feel your feelings, not be carried away with your emotions so much, but to feel your feelings and to see it as an internal guidance system, because it is that. And know that the feminine, the intuitive, is resurrecting within the left brain world that we've been living in, and the intuitive and the spiritual is coming alive, and allow it to come alive in you. It's not about religion. Religion, as we said, has been distorted, has been corrupted like everything else in our human culture, and it's time to uncorrupt it and set it back on a better path, and find the positive side of everything that's going on, like the plant growing out of my wrist. There is a positive side to that. And find that positive side for yourself. And as we each find the positive side within ourselves, we will transform the world. That's inevitable, and it's unstoppable. Thank you for listening, and I trust you'll have a good day. Namaste.